Jazzcast Pros.
If you have an older teenager and they want to be something that you have no understanding about, or they want to be about something that maybe you don't support or, fearful of, think to yourself this: how can I support you and at the same time protect you? How can I love you through this without overdoing it? You do this by actively listening. Take away the assumptions that you know everything. Take away the assumption and perception of being a parent means that you have to be X, Y, and Z. It doesn't. There's no manual to this shit. But we have boundaries. We have guidelines. We have principle. We have reciprocity. We have truth. All these teachings and guidance is meant to help you set up the boundaries and the levels of respect and admiration and support. But if you live your life, my fathers, with the idea of assumption and the ideas of leading by fear, welcome to the pain. Welcome to the drama. And I welcome you to the years of headache. Greetings and welcome to Father Torch, the podcast to help you renew fathers cope with the anxiety and stress of fatherhood so that you can be the dad you wish you had. I'm your host, Ra, founder of Abolish Foundation, an artist, a father of 9. My mission is to help you reclaim your power and ease your concerns about being a father in today's social climate. Today's episode is about the father's assumptions. The father's assumptions on his children, on himself, his family, even his manhood. The power of assumptions deals with some of the topics such as perception, fears. These things we don't often look at carefully or, with a fine-tooth comb. We're too busy assuming that we know what we're doing. I am a father myself, and I can tell you that a lot of times we are wrong on what we assume because we base it off of fear in past experiences or even traumas. A lot of times we have children, and some things they do and experience or even explore can make us very fearful of their future. So we respond with fear, assuming that the scenario is similar or familiar to what we experience, and then we never actually deal with the problem correctly. We overreact, some of us become belligerent, some of us, we just do it wrong. And others, it seems like they got it on hand, but they are under a tremendous amount of stress. And some just don't give a shit. It's just pretty much it is what it is kind of thing. Live as you learn, and you're going to learn today or life will teach you. All those are good, well and dandy, but they have their place. And we as men must do more than assume. We must be assured of the things that we are talking about, expressing, or even teaching. A scenario would be fathers with daughters. And it's an old time tale, and it is what some of us dread and some of us have experienced, some of us flying colors. We have daughters and we think that we must be extremely delicate or firm to make sure that they are what we want them to be. Productive young ladies, and careful and fearful, right? Here's the word, fearful of the world, because in order for you to feel protected and secure, you need a man to protect you, or you need this to do this. Some of us teach this barbaric, ancient, backwards teaching, because if you truly want to teach and protect your daughters, you will teach them how to be themselves and know that no one can protect you more than yourself, and to be prepared and have the tools needed so you can be and feel secure. Too much of our daughters do not feel secure, or they need someone else to make them feel worthy of things. And when we assume that you need a man to do X, Y, and Z for them, well, this is where we run into problems. A lot of contradictory, right? A lot of mixed messages. Although it would be nice if a real man was there to protect you of certain things, or even give you the extra eye of security. However, it'd be good for us men, fathers, to instill in them what it means and what it looks like to protect yourself. Now, we understand that there are predators out there and they look like us, or they built like us. So what we have to do is show them how to protect themselves and how to be aware of this stuff instead of treating them like delicate flowers that they can't handle themselves. Now, I'm not talking about dealing with their adolescence and dealing with things of securing their womanhood or their integrity, or securing their emotional well-being. What I'm talking about is assuming that what we shame, what we teaching is just enough, especially in today's world. We have too much of our daughters out there who has the guidance, blessings of a mustard seed to a rat. And I say that like that to show you that that means nothing. If we simply think that we just speaking utter truth and that's about it, it means nothing. Because to our one word, they have 1,000 others out there. And if we're not consistent and building upon these things will mean nothing to no one. So we have to be mindful of how we do things and what we say and the teachings that it must be fulfilled, not just partially done. You can't assume they understand for that one conversation. This is something that you have to repeatedly do, and especially for our brothers and our warriors who do not live or constant contact with those daughters. Our daughters, our women are key to a nation. That means they can bring forth many of our generation of children down the line. However, what they know now, what they teach now, how they are treated now, determines our existence, our generations, you name it. So we cannot assume that they get it from that one time. We cannot assume that a couple of times it was good enough. This is something that is an everyday practice, especially to my brothers who are not at the homes of these beautiful and delicate and strong and powerful flowers. We have to instill in them not the fear of hate and the fear of ignorance, but the fear of God in you, that you would want to bring not forth shame to me, but glad tidings, love and admiration, obedience of not of the darkest kind, but of the beautiful shine. We have too much of our daughters out here with daddy issues, too much with daddy issues. Now, this doesn't excuse the typical bullshit that happens between father and daughter, especially the ones that, again, that do not live with their children. Because you got a lot of factors that in between that. You have mental health, you have the environment, you have the baby mother or the baby mother drama, however you want to mix it. You have the family drama. You have your own drama mixed in with every other else influences. So there's not a direct teaching or a direct connection. It's a little cloudy or some interruptions. There's a lot to it. I say this to say it is difficult for a man to teach and be aware of the dangers of the lack of teaching or guidance and still can't do nothing about it. How much of you men out here that can actually see the pain in your child's eye and still unable to relieve that stress and pain? I'm not talking about not fighting for them or being the strongest, powerful as you can. I'm talking about seeing certain things, teaching them of certain things, and by the time they get home, it gets washed away. And then when they actually fulfill all that prophecy or the pain and the struggle that you foresee so long ago, and then have to deal with that on top of the fact that you knew better or you knew and couldn't do nothing about it. That is anguish. That is bullshit. It's such bullshit that it happens every day. And yet we have no power to how to control or deal with that, at least not to my knowledge or my awareness. So if someone has a better answer to that, please, I invite you to speak on that. However, the assumptions of what we think we know about raising children or raising daughters or preventing certain things to take place is not all in our upbringing. We have to be adaptable. We have to see what's going on. We have to know what's going on. We have to be up to code of what's happening in this world. We're in a time of harvest and they are collecting our babies, man. They are collecting them. If they're not harvesting them, if they're not mashing up their mind, they're not filling in more things to just push them over the edge. And all we can do is sit here is beat them, talk shit to them, ridicule them and criticize them. That's not just daughters, it is sons too, especially sons too. If this is all we have, then we are doomed. We have to understand the perception of a young versus old and wise. excuse me, wise. I'm going to say wise because, I'm old head. At least I feel that way. But nonetheless, assumption helps distort the perception. Because if I assume you to be something or to behave as such, then you will actually want to do such a thing. I think they call that fulfilling prophecy something. I forget, it's some kind of psych thing. But nonetheless, if I assume my children or of some behavior, they will make it their business to behave in such a way. If I say to them that you ain't shit, you're a dumbass, and you're not going to amount to nothing, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do that very same thing. And for the life of you, you can't figure out why they keep doing it because this is what you have put on them. It seems childish, but the thing is, when you call a name and you answer to it, you start to live it. So if you don't speak life, prosperity, and liberty in their existence, in their spirit, they will make it their business to do everything negatively that you have put upon them. Now, as painful as that is, we don't often think about the things that we are not doing or how we go about doing it. We oftentimes think that what we're doing is just. You tell me, how just is it? How just is it to tell them that they are not worthy of anything? How just is it to tell them before they grow or learn their lesson that they can't amount to nothing because of their one adolescence? Maybe even a couple. We have the notion at times that we know a lot because we've been through a lot. Maybe a small measure, maybe, is enough to say, yes, this is good, bad, or whatever in between. However, we don't know everything. We have to humble ourselves. Even sometimes in the midst of those things, we have to humble ourselves because of new trials and tribulations, even experiences, never have the same outcome, but the same foundation. We was all once young. We were all rambunctious. We was all unfearful of death, unaware of certain pain. So we have to be very mindful of how we go about doing things and speaking on things. We have to have self-control. It can't be you're angry and you want to discipline, chastise, and criticize because you will hurt them. We can't assume that because I said it with great passion and means and knowledge that is all that's needed. You must implement love and affection. You must implement discipline in the many realms of discipline: physical, emotional, spiritual, as well as mental. You must be supportive. You can't assume they understand you or understand everything you're doing because you said it. Some of us are too attentive to the wrong things and not enough on the things that is needed. Sometimes, even in the wrong, you just need to listen. Actively listen. A lot of times, wrong place, wrong time. We know how that feels. Most of us, men, we know how that feels. Wrong place, wrong time. And we assume that it can't go that way, and it happens. How much of us end up with children, with mothers that they are crazier than the banshees? And how much of us have children that just give us the business? And we don't know why. Because we assume they hurt us, or we assume a situation will go in our favor, which help distort our perception of how things is going to happen or turn out. It's better to know. It's better to know, and it's better to have more of an understanding of you so you can be prepared and supportive of your youth. We have too much time wasted on arguments, arguing, fighting, speaking death upon our own, much less ourselves. We have this perception that what we see from a distance is reality. So much of distraction with that, so much of foolishness that carry on with that.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode, check out Living the Front Seat Life podcast. That's my podcast. I'm Coach Kelly Marie. I talk all about my journey as a woman living with mental illnesses. I have great guests. We talk about everything from food, being medicinal, how to set boundaries, how to say no, how to get therapy, and how to talk to your family and friends about mental health on Living the Front Seat Life podcast. You can find us on the Jazzcast Pros Network, and we're listening to this podcast right now. Be the light.
If you've been thinking about starting a podcast and you want to include interviews with people across town, Riverside.fm offers unbelievable high-quality recordings regardless of your or your guest internet quality. And it also gives you separate audio and video tracks for each person speaking. And unlike Zoom, you don't have to install anything on your computer, and your guests don't either. Head over to riverside.fm and use promo code JazzyCast to get 60 free minutes of recording and 15% off a membership plan.
I say this. If you have an older teenager, son or daughter, and they want to be something that you have no understanding about, or they want to be about something that maybe you don't support or, fearful of, think to yourself this: how can I support you and at the same time protect you? How can I love you through this without overdoing it? You do this by actively listening. And with your experience as a grown man, trauma and all, to actively listen, the answer will come to you. Maybe I need to do less verbal, more contact. Maybe I need to do more verbal and less contact. Know your child. Don't assume you know them. Know your child as you should done from the beginning. Whether you live with them or not, know your child and know yourself so you can respond accordingly. Think of these things. Think of how you may feel when you was this age. And I say may because the fact is it's never the same. But it's there. It's not a whole lot difference, but it's similar because we have experience in that realm of that feeling, how we do things and what we think about things. Don't get me wrong. It comes in many flavors. Sometimes I have to come hard. Sometimes I got to be soft. Sometimes I have to be gentle. Sometimes I have to be militant. All this can help when it comes to reaching your child, talking to them, reasoning with them, without assuming or making assumptions or believing the perception of what you think is that reality. Never you give satisfaction to anyone above your child because you know your child. You know they're not perfect. You know what they're capable of and what they are doing versus what they do in front of you versus what they don't do in front of you. I know damn well my kids cuss like a damn sailor, but when in front of me, they don't do such a thing. And that's only because they instill a certain respect level or even boundaries, if you will. But I know they have a different behavior when they're in front of me because I know so much so that I done this. I remember this. I don't have no amnesia. I know exactly who I was. I embrace my growing pains. But unlike my children, they're not forced to grow up. They may have to endure certain growing pains. And I'm proud of that. I am proud of that. I have worked very hard on myself, very hard on just overcoming my own mental health. I got tales for days for them. I got wisdom beyond the universe and still learning. I am happy that I can be in a place that assumption is no longer my vocabulary to teach, guide, or protect. That my perception of things is not based off my fears or my trauma. That my love and admiration for them is unlimited. However, I refuse to use death, anger, frustration, and other people bullshit to raise them. We talk about relationships, sex. We speak on life, prosperity. We speak on the things that we don't really like about each other. Communication, actively listening, emotional connection, spiritual connection is all key to do away without having an assumption, a father's assumption at that. Because we fathers, we are not trained or conditioned to always speak from our emotions and speak from what we feel. It's generally for what we fear or the unknown. Yes, you got some fathers who's in tune with their emotions and they speak, but they overlook and oversee a lot of things and it gets past them. And they're understanding that your children are smarter than you think. They are very observant to a lot of things. And some things you will never know because they don't want to hurt you. And other things you will know because they are downright spiteful and unruly. So again, what you put in, what you get out, but at the same time, take away the assumptions that you know everything. Take away the assumption and perception of being a parent means that you have to be X, Y, and Z. It doesn't. There's no manual to this shit. But at the same time, we don't make up the rules. But we have boundaries. We have guidelines. We have principle. We have reciprocity. We have truth. We even have justice. All these teachings and guidance is meant to help you set up the boundaries and the levels of respect and admiration and support. I mean, it goes on. But if you live your life, my fathers, with the idea of assumption and the ideas of leading by fear, welcome to the pain. Welcome to the drama. And I welcome you to the years of headache. Now, not to say that they won't give you trouble or headache regardless, because they're going to. I mean, especially in their teenage years. But nowadays, and it's not even just teenage now. Nowadays, it's grown adults, young adults. Society is not in charge of your children, of raising them, protecting them. You are. And I empathize with the fathers who do not live with their children, because I myself was one, and I myself can relate. And nothing worse than a father seeing his child in pain and can't do nothing about it. I come back to this because it touched me to home. You are always secondary when it comes to information. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes you can, that one moment you have them out of the 6 moments, 6 months, or whatever the case may be. Out of that time, you can see all the things that you didn't want to happen or try to prevent happening. And all you can do is hug, embrace, shed a tear if you could. It's not enough. We feel it. And other times it's like, all I can do is bear the time and wait for my moment. Of course, this relates to the children not being in imminent danger, but however, it's a lot to go with it. Because what you used to be admired for, now you a piece of shit about. The children become ungrateful because they get used to that lesson of you ain't shit because this is all they hear. Dad ain't shit because this is all he can do. Never mind the quality time. Never mind the things that he tried to instill in me and the love that he braced in me and the protection that he's trying to give me. And it gets erased as soon as I get home. Now you're a piece of shit. Now I use you as mom used you. Until I know better, until I grow. This is what I will learn to do. Even when that child knows better, they can't help it because of the environment they're in. Even when they know better, they will still react because they're young. My father says, I don't want you to take it personal. I don't want you to take it such a way that you just turn your back and just like, shh, let me bother with it. Of course, if you have to take away yourself, you do so. But don't take away yourself where your back is turned, that you just utterly gone out. You don't want to do nothing. You just out. It's not easy. It can be painful and dark at times. This is why it's important that you surround yourself with brothers, band of brothers that's going to uplift you, support you, not nurturing the anger, foolishness, or destruction, but embrace you, uplift you, strengthen you. So when they do return, which they will return, children will return, that you be strong enough to handle them, deal with them, embrace them, and lift them up. These are the things. These are one of many things it means to be a father. We must embrace this. We must embrace all aspect of fatherhood. There's no one road. There's no one avenue. There's not even a city. It is universal. That means there's many realms. That means there's many ways of going about this. Let us be mindful of ourselves, not assume that what we see is true. We have sons out here hanging out with killers, betrayers, rats, snakes, devils. And we must be the strong. We must be the embracive support. We must be the God in their life to let them see that we are not the enemy, that we are supportive. And I don't care what it means or what it takes for you to do that, you do it. As long as that lesson is learned, taught with love and understanding, not malice and ignorance, that your discipline is true as the air that you breathe. You do it, fathers. You put yourself out there. But most importantly, take care of you. Cannot do nothing if you're weak and destroyed, broken down, and even just simply weak. Take away that all about me, but make sure you take care of me. Yourself. Be a man about it. Don't make nobody tell you about your masculinity being toxic. Because if you're true to yourself, you love yourself, it cannot be toxic. And you need that masculinity to help you be the man that you can be the man that you know you are. Join me again, guys. My time is coming up and I don't want to overcome or overwhelm you with my passion. However, if you like this podcast and you feel that you have an opinion, you have a thought, email me, fathertorch.com. Leave a comment. I welcome you. Tell me what you think. Is this something that helps you? Is this something that helps a new perspective on things? And believe it or not, I can admit to you, even now, as raw as I am talking, I admit I'm holding back. Not because I'm scared, because I want you to receive the message versus what I'm feeling. Because it's not about me. Father Torch is an upliftment program, upliftment podcast as well. That Biblical Foundation, this is all we do. We support our fathers. We are not against mothers. Because there's a lot of single mothers playing dual roles. And shame on you fathers for letting them do that, too. I don't give a shit what they do. You try your best to be there, even if it's at a safe distance. You prepare yourself. Father taught y'all. Every other Sunday, we are here. Let me know what you feel. Leave a comment. Leave an email. Subscribe at Podbean, www.fathertorch.com. Let me know how you feel about this. Tell me what you think I should do more of, I should say. Peace and blessings, guidance. Next week, I surprise you with something that you think, not even think. I will surprise you with something that most of us don't think of, but we do every day. I'll leave that as a mystery, but I'll leave you with this thought. Think about what you do every day to yourself and your children that you don't think about. That is harmful. Guidance and protection. That's the matter.
Hey, if you like this episode, check out Getting Real with Bossy, where we chat about what it's like to be a woman business owner.
You'll hear interviews with women who are doing what it takes to succeed and the reality of what that looks like.
We cover all the topics, figuring out the rules and regulations, navigating business partnerships,
Even if that's your spouse. Motherhood while running a business, working within your values.
and all the ups and downs of being the boss.
Are you ready to get real? Pop over to our podcast, Getting Real with Bossy.
If you've been thinking about starting a podcast and you want to include interviews with people across town, Riverside.fm offers unbelievable high-quality recordings regardless of your or your guest internet quality. And it also gives you separate audio and video tracks for each person speaking. It's high-tech, but easy to use. And unlike Zoom, you don't have to install anything on your computer, and your guests don't either. Riverside.fm is the leading platform to record studio-quality audio or video podcast. They even have a really cool video editor to help you make content for social media. Head over to riverside.fm and use promo code JazzyCast to get 60 free minutes of recording and 15% off a membership plan. The link is in the show notes.